Composition of functions. Let f of x equal x plus 5 divided by 2. Let g of x equal 2x minus 1. You've already practiced taking numeric inputs and putting them in for x and solving. Take a look at these two examples and make sure you understand how to do this step. The composition of functions involves the exact same process, except instead of taking numeric values and putting them in for x, we're going to take other functions and put them in for x. Let's take a look at an example. We want to find the composite function f of g of x. This means that we're going to take our g of x function, 2x minus 1, and put it in place of the x value in our f of x function, like so. Let's look at another example. This time, we're going to find g of f of x. This means that we're going to take our f of x function, x plus 5 divided by 2, and put it in place of the x in our g of x function, like so. At this point, it might make sense to simplify your functions. We're going to leave these two the way that they are so that you can take a look back to see exactly how each function was substituted in for x. Now let's see what happens when you have a composite function, but you're also substituting in a numeric value. Let's find the value of the function g of f of negative 1. Now there's a lot going on here, so just take it one step at a time. First, take your negative 1 and put it as the input in your f of x function. This gives you negative 1 plus 5 divided by 2. Now to deal with that inner g of f of negative 1. Take a look at your function g of x equals 2x minus 1. The f of negative 1 function is going to take the place of the x in your g of x function. With f of negative 1 in x's place, you can now fill in 2 minus 1. Now we have that last g of f of negative 1. Everything you have written so far is going to take the place of the x in our g of x function. Therefore, you need to fill in 2 times this amount minus 1 at the very end. This is just one way to find the output of a composite function given a value. You could also solve for f of negative 1 first, then solve for g of that answer, and lastly solve for g of your second answer. You can choose whichever way works for you. To find the solution this way, we are simply going to use arithmetic, remembering our PEMDAS, to find the final output solution. Here are a few more examples. I encourage you to pause the video, rewind, and re-watch until you feel like you understand how to do this on your own. Want to learn more? Check out the Reduced Simply YouTube page.